Well, it may have taken a little bit longer than expected, but man, was it worth the wait. TJ Watt got paid. He agreed to a 3-year, $123 million extension that makes him the highest paid non-quarterback in NFL history as far as annual salary is concerned. And you know what? It's about time being the younger sibling paid off. Take a look at these two brothers and their earnings. TJ Watt, with his new 3-year deal, made as much as Big Bro did in about 12 years. I would definitely be petty and bring this up at the Thanksgiving dinner table, that's for sure. Beanback, your Steelers got this man paid. Tell me why he's earned every penny of that $123 million.
Well, I like to add more context to his contract. I saw something that stated, Jordan, for the next 3 years, TJ Watt will make over $100,000 every day for the next 3 years. So you talk about
unreal.
Feeling good. Oh my goodness, I feel good for TJ. Yeah. But in terms of why he is deserving of this deal, he's been one of the more disruptive defenders in the National Football League throughout the majority of his career. I mean, he's been nothing but an impactful player. And even though he plays on the defensive side, when he's not in uniform, it hurts the entire team. Just look at the Pittsburgh Steelers record with or without TJ Watt, and that would tell you alone how important he has been to the Steelers and the entire organization. And then off the football field, he does everything right. He's involved in the community. The fans love him there in Pittsburgh. And the reason why you don't love or like TJ is because you have seen him sack your quarterback, your favorite quarterback, countless times. And that's a good problem to have in terms of if you dislike an individual like TJ Watt. So, I mean, we knew it was going to get done. It was just a matter of time, and they did right by one of the best players to ever lace up the cleats in Pittsburgh and TJ Watt.
It's so good to see the non-quarterback positions getting some love, isn't it? It really makes you think, though, after Watt's deal, who's next, VMAC?
Micah Parsons. Micah Parsons is next. And he understands that he knows his deal will get done. It's something about the Dallas Cowboys where they wait to the 25th hour to get it done. And I think it's all about the headlines. You know what I mean? It wouldn't be a Dallas Cowboy thing to not receive or get the headlines that make them a national talking point. And that's going to be the case throughout training camp, like we've seen in years past with notable players like Dak Prescott, notable player in CD Lamb most recently, and now it's going to be Micah Parsons, and he will be in that $41 million range, in my opinion. Like a TJ Watt, it could be 41.5, it could be 41.8, but he's going to be in that range, but he will have he would have a higher, dollar amount. How high? I don't know, but that's going to be very, very important to him agreeing to this new deal. So Micah Parsons is the next candidate up to get this nice, handsome payday like we just witnessed with TJ Watt.
Yeah, we will find out soon enough what that number will be exactly. But I love that you mentioned that. The Cowboys, if one thing's certain, they're going to stay on brand, that's for sure. BMAC, now we had you compile a list of the top active players in the NFL who deserve a Hall of Fame honor. And on that list, you do have TJ Watt getting in. Tell us why.
Well, he's had a Hall of Fame career, and he's continuing to add to that said career. When you talk about being Hall of Fame worthy, I feel like at some point in time throughout your prime years, you have to be considered one of the best players at your position, right? And we know he's been considered one of the best players at his position, not to mention winning a Defensive Player of the Year award and being in the close running for that multiple times. So yes, TJ Watt is there. You look at other guys that you have on the list, Pat Mahomes for sure is no brainer for me. I mean, you look at Matthew Stafford, you look at Lamar Jackson, Travis Kelce, Mike Evans, Lane Johnson. I think Tyreek Hill is having a Hall of Fame-like career as he continues to add to his resume. Trent Williams, no question. You know what I mean? All of these guys that you see highlighted, especially with the offensive side of things, they once were considered the best of the best at their position, and most of those guys still have that claim right now going on currently. Defensively, so just a few notable names: Von Miller, Super Bowl champion, one of the best to ever do it, still playing, no question. Myles Garrett, the same can be said. The overall team success hasn't been there like some of the other guys, but individually speaking, he's been one of the best to ever do it. TJ Watt, as we mentioned, Levante David quietly has been one of the more consistent off-ball linebackers that we've seen throughout his era. Unfortunately, he just doesn't get the national recognition because he doesn't have that spotlight. But when you talk about watching him play, you cannot say anything negative about Levante David, not to mention he has that championship as well. Bobby Wagner, I think Jalen Ramsey will have a state to claim in terms of the Heisman. Harrison Smith, Chris Jones, Cam Hayward. There's so many other notable names that are still active. But this was just my short list in terms of guys that are still active in the National Football League that I believe when it's all said and done, their final press conference will happen in Canton, Ohio.
Okay, so the bunch of no-brainers on that list, and you pointed out a few, and one in particular that I really want to zoom in a little bit more on, and we're going to go ahead and pull up his resume because I think it deserves a little bit more of a conversation. Why do you think Levante David has done enough to earn a Hall of Fame nod? And why do you think he isn't getting the respect? You mentioned he's not in the spotlight, but I feel like some can argue otherwise.
Yeah, and when I say not in the spotlight, I'm saying that for most casual football fans.
Right.
Because most casual football fans, they tend to only talk about the notable names that they're hearing from every media outlet. You don't really hear that a lot with Levante David. But when you watch his overall body of work, you just saw his numbers there, and he's still playing at a high level. Consistency. He's been the epitome of consistency. Playing a very, very difficult position, inside backer. He's not a situational backer. He's a three-down backer. He's extremely transparent in his communication. He's reliable, not just in the running game, but also in coverage. And he's been the quarterback of the operation defensively throughout his entire career there in Tampa. And like I said, he's still playing at a high level. When I look at a Luke Kuechly, who was the brains of the operation for for Carolina, I see the same thing for Levante David. Levante just has done it longer than a Luke Kuechly. You know what I mean? So in terms of just the notoriety, most casual fans would kind of overlook a Levante David. But when you really watch football and you're a fan of just the NFL and high-level play, you can never look over a guy like Levante David. And as I stated, when Tom Brady came down, it elevated the offense. But Levante David was always the one to elevate the defense. And you look at Tampa in terms of their history, you got guys like Warren Sapp, you got Barber, you got Derek Brooks. Levante David could play with those guys. So if you can play with those names that I mentioned, no question you deserve to be in the Hall of Fame. And I believe he will be in the Hall of Fame, in my opinion. There's no debate about it. I think the same argument you can make that I'm making for Levante, you can make for Mike Evans as well. Because Mike Evans is the first ballot Hall of Famer in my opinion, but casual football fans would say, well, I don't know. There's nothing to think about with Mike Evans. But because of the lack of a spotlight and not just being overly verbal about what they've done, they kind of get overlooked a little bit. But when you know football and you watch countless snaps, you can never debate if Mike Evans should be in the Hall of Fame. It's about when, and the same can be said for Levante David.
Nothing but facts from you, Bryant McFadden, as always. Two of the big names that are the heart and soul of that team in Tampa, a fan favorite as well in that city. Now, you can get every single highlight right here on CBS Sports HQ. We cover all our bases, streaming free 24/7.